YouTube, Brian Phillips here. We got a little dainty box here, and we are gonna open it up right now for your very eyes. So you may have noticed we did a small formatting change on the channel, and we're not sure if it's gonna stick or if it's just something we're gonna do for a few videos and kind of see how things go. But we're gonna try to share the flights, the maiden flights, as an independent video, and then the unbox build radio setup as a separate video that's available right away if at all possible. So, oh boy, that looks so beautiful. The much anticipated Cirrus SR22T, 1.5 meters of pure delight. Look at that thing. We had the V1, it was glorious. This is, of course, the V2, which means that you get the addition of the smart technology, which is super nice. And also, I believe we're 4S and 3S compatible, whereas before we were only technically 3S compatible. So, ooh, looks so absolutely gorgeous. And I wonder if they use the reverse Pinocchio. It looks like the reverse Pinocchio.
I think he is.
That may have been, and this is the carbon. Carbon? I didn't know it was carbon. Does it say carbon on there?
It does.
What? Where?
Right here.
I didn't know it said carbon on there. Well, I guess we're gonna find out. All right, so without further ado, this is 1,524 millimeters. It's a big plane, meaning long, narrow wing chord. It's not very deep. It lands with fixed gear, and you will love doing takeoffs and landings with this plane. The flaps are glorious, and now with reverse thrust, it's gonna be phenomenal. So I'm super excited to be able to bring this to you, and it looks like we've got quick detach wings because it is big. Again, this is a V2, officially licensed. Oh, Cirrus, oh good Lord. Who decides how tight to make these things? I'm serious, like I'm a strong guy, I can barely get this out. I'm gonna rip a hole in this foam. Oh, ugh. Oh my goodness. We're gonna need to take a break. So yeah, so it's out of there. I mean, you guys think I'm exaggerating, look at that. I ripped the cardboard and I ripped the foam, I think. So when you get these planes from Horizon, they're usually packaged pretty good, I would say. And this one makes, this is no exception. So package top and bottom. So don't forget to hit the bottom when you're ready to go. Oh look, a utility knife. So we're gonna pop this thing open. If you guys are new to the channel, it's Brian Phillips RC. If you wanna help support us, we have Patreon, PayPal, and then of course you can buy the planes that you see reviewed in these videos. And then stuff that we haven't even got to yet, you can also buy those ones too. But we try to bring you the latest and greatest of all the big names in RC aviation. Okay, so there is an addendum. What does it say? Please note the CG of your Cirrus should be 53 plus or minus, not 63 as stated. Oh, okay. That's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
I feel bad for the guy who had to put those all in. All right, so let's start with the wings. Oh man, that is glorious. Oh, yes. Look how smooth it is. Look at the little winglet with the LEDs. So beautiful. This is all plastic. This is plastic. Too bad that's not plastic. It would help protect it. But we do have a little antenna that will help protect the bottom from wing strikes. Look at that. Look at that aileron. It's all sucked into the wing. Oh, so gorgeous. Fowler flaps. Oh yes, look at that. Amazing. You guys see that? The little slotted flaps. Amazing, beautiful. How's the strength? Oh yeah, that's nice and stiff. There was a wiggly wing on the old one. So I don't know if that's gonna be a problem or not on this one. They used a different hinge mechanism on here. That's cool. I don't remember seeing that. And then of course the leading edge is taped over. Oh, whew. Wait a second, are those lights? Wait, are those supposed to be lights? What is that? Why is that there? Do you see that? Mm-hmm. Is there supposed to be lights there? No, there's lights here.
There.
That's very bizarre. I don't even know what that is. But it's there, so I guess we'll find out at some point. Beautiful wing, looks glorious. And by the way, 1.5 meters, this sticks into the center of the fuse. So you have a gap like that. That's a big wing. 1.5 meters, we've done a lot of 1.5 meters. This is technically in like 1.2 meter size class, even though it's a 1.5 meter plane, just because it happens to have a long wing in real life. Oh yeah. So beautiful. And look at this. So cool. For fuel. Ice protection fluid. So that's the sort of stuff you get when you get these fully licensed products. You get all the real details, which is super cool. Look at the LED wires there. See that? Super small, wow. Super light. Gotta love it. They're using motor winding leads, which incidentally is the way I did it when I added LEDs toward the end of my LED editions. And so happy to say that I haven't put LEDs on a plane for a long time because it was always a terrible process. And yet they always looked so good. Okay, there's something that's like kind of falling down here. I hope that's not a problem. It looks like the nose gear. Just trying to be real careful how I get this pulled out. I can't really tell. Oh, okay, it looks like that's next. Landing gear, aluminum, wheel pant, really nice looking. Don't have to build anything. That's the way it should be. Really strong, stout gear. They were bendy on the old one. They'll probably be bendy on this one too, I'm guessing. When I say bendy, I mean I crashed a lot. So they actually weren't bendy. I was a bad pilot. How do I get this thing out?
Is it taped?
Maybe.
Nope.
Stabbed it? That was hard to get out. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, the anti-Pinocchio is coming. What the heck? Look.
What?
There's a screw coming through there. Oh man, that is glorious. Okay. Oh, the guy has a nose. Look, they fixed the reverse Pinocchio.
I can't see him.
Look inside, it looks so nice. Oh, it's so much better. Why is he wearing orange? Is that a safety vest?
Yes.
Oh, wait. Look, they put a handle next to the handle. That is so cool. Here's another handle, doesn't do anything, obviously. I'm loving the way this thing looks. Man, that is good. No step right there. Not there, camera crew.
Okay. Well, not step there.
What the heck? That's scary. Oh, that broke off. Okay. Woo.
I really thought that was broken.
I thought it was broken too, but it's not. It actually goes right here. Look. So that actually holds through here, the wing spar location. Man, they thought of everything on this plane. Okay, so, oh yes, serviceability. When did this start becoming a feature of airplanes? Look, you can remove that, I bet. You wanna see? Let's check it out. Oh man, that's kind of hard to get from the top. We put a piece of tape on ours. Okay. So there are definitely 4 magnets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And there was a light that used to be, oh man, look at the avian ESC, it's so beautiful. Look at that thing, it's just a gorgeous Spectrum AR637TA. Okay, it's a no barometer. Look where the antenna is, they actually put it in there. Amazing. Wow. There's a light right there. See, there's a light. They have a cabin light just like before. Nice. Okay, now can I tell if this comes out? Nope, it's glued. But look, hi.
If you had to get to it.
If you had to get to it, you could get to it.
Yeah.
One other problem we had on our first one was this. Oh, that is so much tighter. Oh my goodness. Way better. Clip in, front end with magnets, super nice. Look at this, we have protection. They protected you from the tip. Totally different motor mount. Wow, that is weird. You know why? Probably melted the old motor mount. Look at this, watch this. Oh, that is so gorgeous. Remember, you can't get that off once your prop's on. So just keep that in mind. And boy, I love the way that the inside of that canopy looks. Hi. That is so cool. The seats are way more detailed. And then there's an alignment job here too, which is pretty cool. So that's gonna help keep the canopy on, because there were times, I think I lost my canopy on the Cirrus once.
Really?
Yes, maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll have to come back to that. Okay, so let's just stick this in the hole.
I like the red.
Oh yeah. I'm loving this plane. Look how gorgeous it is.
No.
Guys, we've seen a lot of pretty planes before, but general aviation planes get overlooked by the RC community so bad. I mean, really bad. Almost as bad as airliners. Just saying, Horizon. If you're paying attention, people want them. Okay. Carbon fiber spars are on the back. You can tell the back because there's less foam. If you're opening this side first, I'd recommend against that. So obviously on this channel, we do unbox, build, radio setup, and maidens for a long time. We're gonna try to do the maidens on a, you know, like a get it out there quick. And then of course the unbox, build, radio setup will follow, or it'll be released right before. But what that does for us is when it's like super windy out here, we can get a build done. Oh yes. Oh, so beautiful. Gotta love it. 3-bladed prop. What is the size on this? I can't even tell because it's all pre-assembled. That is so cool. Of course, we're gonna have to take it apart to put it on. That's gonna look gorgeous. We will try to mention the size there when we get to it. But anyway, our rationale behind doing it that way is so we can get our footage out quicker, because 4K video is huge and it's taking a long time to upload. Yeah. Even with Starlink, which is a huge, oh my goodness. Say goodbye to the pinch hinges. Look at that. Embedded hinges, yes. Beautiful, which also look effortless. Effortless, okay? That's very good. Okay. Carbon fiber reinforcement, carbon fiber reinforcement. I take it back, that's not carbon fiber, that would be fiberglass. Or is it anything? Oh, that's where the wing spar is gonna go. Wing spar will be carbon fiber. The carbon fiber to plastic. Oh, the compensator, that's so cool, look at that. Oh, love it. Guys, this plane is just really good. I'm liking it a lot. Everything about it, you know, it's like, and to be perfectly frank with you, we do a lot of different brands here on Brian Phillips RC, but we really like E-flite. It's one of our favorite brands. It's kind of like, you know, it would have been my favorite before we started working with them. Now that we do work with them, and we have worked with them for some time now, we're still just overdone, overjoyed with all the little improvements. Okay, look at that. Don't have to put the wheel pans together. Doesn't bind. Ooh, wait, does it bind? It looks like it could bind. That's bad. We'll have to see if that's a problem, because if that's a problem, we're gonna figure it out. Okay, so nose gear. They were noisy before. It sounds like they're gonna be noisy again. Look at that. Here, grab my nut and bolt sack there, camera crew. Show the people.
Ooh, it's nice and small.
Okay. That's the way we like it. And then the other landing gear, everything looks totally kosher about that. I thought it was one piece before, but I could be mistaken. It's been a while since I played with that one. I still do have my original 1.5 meter Cirrus SR22T. Oh, that's in there tight. And yes, there are 2 sticks in here, so be careful. You can see them too. 2 of them. Man, that's like really in there. This knife is evidently not very sharp. Oh, there it is. Okay. So anyway, the rationale behind splitting up the videos, just so you guys know what's going on, is that we want to get you guys footage quicker. And that is a hollow tube too. Definitely carbon fiber. You can tell by the high pitch. Here, high pitched. If it was low pitched, you could conclude that it's probably not carbon fiber, it's probably fiberglass, which is considerably cheaper and considerably weaker. Not that there's not a time and place for it. Sometimes the weight isn't an issue, so you don't need the carbon fiber. Sometimes the strength is not an issue, so you don't need the carbon fiber. But when you need both and you can't give up the weight, carbon fiber is generally the only way to do what you need to do. And as per typical, the unboxing went pretty much flawlessly as always. The Horizon Hobby lineup in general is just some of the best stuff you can get. And it's by no mistake. I mean, sometimes they cost more than other competitive offerings, but you get more because the bind and fly comes with all the expensive receivers that you really kind of want, but you're always trying to figure out a way to not use the cheap knockoff version. You don't have to use the cheap knockoff version. It's a bind and fly. Just bind and fly. Don't buy the plug and fly. Buy the bind and fly. You get all the stuff you want. Okay, so we're gonna be setting this up on the NX8, just so you guys know. If you didn't already know, we've been using NX8 for a long time. Really, really happy with it. It's a great radio system. We've got our should-be flowers, so we can do our assembly. And then have you, by chance, decided on what we're gonna need for tools and stuff yet? One of the biggest reasons why we like Horizon is right here.
Yep.
Solid manual, very easy to read. Talks about the things you need. And to be honest with you, that's an E-flite thing, because we've had other Horizon products that don't have nearly as good of manuals. I mean, they're still good, industry standard wise, but they're not as good as E-flite. E-flite's some of the best because they have everything standardized down to a real good science. So we appreciate that, Horizon. All right, so folding the manual. Oh, full disclosure. I really liked my Cirrus I had before. The only thing I did to it that was not stock was I think I went to the inside hole for more rudder authority and I added a tail light and made it look really ugly because I couldn't get a match on the metallic paint. So even though I liked the metallic blue paint, I like the red nicely because it's gonna be a lot easier to match paint. And then the white is unpainted. So, all right, so assembly, you wanna talk about assembly? Let's go ahead and do this.
Are we just gonna start?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Maybe we should look at the manual. Let's see what the manual has to say first. Evidently, our vacuum is starting to charge, so if you guys heard that, it's very important that we knew that. All right, so the port assignment is here. Okay, so they've got the port plugs, which shouldn't be an issue because I think everything is labeled and or plugged in. Okay. Oh, look, thrust reversing. Motor reversing is not enabled when this aircraft is new. See thrust reversing section of this manual for information about setting up. Oh, look at that, they actually added that. And then DXS series, NX series transmitter. Add new model, create model and dual rates. Wow, look at that. They just have it set up like this. They changed it up. Okay, looks like they just said all the things you have to set. That's pretty sweet. Okay, so it looks like high rates. Okay, expo rates. Switch C for the elevator. What's dual rates? What's that? Either on expo, elevator, rudder. Oh, they were suggesting you split them out into separate switches. Okay. Flap system. Okay, so they did lay it out a little bit different. Assigning a switch for safe select. We do that through forward programming now. Integrated ESC telemetry. Okay, that's pretty cool. It shows you the layout of everything. That's pretty cool. We can actually show you that too in our radio setup part, but it looks like the build is here. So they're suggesting we put in the landing gear first. Then they want us to put the tail on. Oh, we have to attach. Oh, because we have to actually slide the nose gear in. Okay, looks like we screw the tail on. We have to put on that weird clippy doohickey. Looks like the inside hole for the elevator. That's surprising. Okay, and then we've got 4 screws for the wing. Don't forget the joiner rod. Looks like we have to attach a... Oh, you can get at that servo from the bottom. There's a little access on the bottom. Very cool. So that's pretty cool. What is that? What is A for?
Nose gear.
Oh, fine-tuning the nose gear. Okay, cool. Looks like they tell you where all the things plug in. They've got antenna locations. Keep in mind, if you have to transport this a lot, you may not want to put the antennas on because the antennas do get in the way sometimes. They show you the dual rates and control throws if you're doing a plug-in fly. Of course, in the bind and fly, you don't really need to mess with that so much. And then they show how to put the spinner together. This is wrong. So this actually needs to be corrected because we have an addendum here. What color is that? Red. So we could use a red dot.
Okay.
So I'll do this right now real quick. We'll just get out our center of gravity marker for when we're ready. So this is supposed to be 53.
Not 63.
Yep, 53. I was gonna say 63 on that wing is way back there.
That is. Could be.
Okay, so differences between Safe Select and AS3X mode. Okay, that's kind of neat that they're putting all those things in there. You just watch Brian Phillips RC, you'll see everything you need to know. All right, cool. So we don't need to keep this anymore. That's been updated. And otherwise, the assembly is pretty much exactly what I remember and anticipated, with the exception of, I thought there was just one piece for the landing gear. So we've got some screws here. Got some screws here for that decorative steps. I believe those are steps. And then this is for the nose gear. Okay. And it looks like we're using Phillips for all this stuff.
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting. We haven't used Phillips screws for much of anything lately.
Have not.
All right, let's see how this goes. All right, so the landing gear come first. You know what? I normally kind of end up resisting this, the plane stand, for some reason, then we end up using it anyway. So let's just start from the scratch. My landing light, my anti-crash beacon is tipped to the side. I can't tell if that's broken or if it's just tipped. It kind of feels a little bit loose.
It does.
We're gonna find out if that's a problem here in a little bit. If it doesn't turn on, we'll know it's a problem. That is so cool, look at that, front-facing light.
Oh, cool. We didn't see that before.
Yeah, they had it on the other one too. Okay, and the antenna is gonna help us to actually get access to that. Was it the straight one on the bottom? No, it's the straight one on top. It's the bent one on the bottom. This one. So it looks like,
It's like your little handle.
well, it's got a screw on it. Are you kidding? That's super nice. Really cool. I wonder how hard this will be to get off. Not very hard. But then that takes a screw. Really?
Really?
Yeah, really. Takes the screw. I wonder what size it takes. I should have probably paid attention to the manual because it would have answered that question. Okay, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those ones are the ones for the back wings, almost certainly. Let's see if this goes in. I don't know if that's gonna fit. That feels like it's a little bit big, but it could be right. Oh, that feels pretty good right there. I don't know, that's pretty tight actually. We'll have to come back to that. So that is your steering servo. Your steering servo is the same as your rudder servo, obviously. So that goes forward and backward. Yeah, I can see the wires going to the LED. I think we're good to go. I don't know why it's not hanging on better though. It's kind of strange. Maybe that's accessible so you can pull it out. I don't know. We'll find out, like I said, on that. Okay, so main landing gear here. These slide in from the side. Okay, so they go like this, right? Or did I miss the hole? Is there? Yeah, you gotta slide them in and then they slip over the top. There's 1, 2, 3 spots to take screws. We'll slide this in. And there's just kind of like a little shelf that it rides on top of, okay? So it's super easy. If you wanna take these off for transport, I'd be surprised if you have to take them off. Okay, so that's pretty good. I'm just sort of torn. Do we put the screws in first? Yeah, they did ask for screws. They did ask for screws. Okay, so this, another bag. What was the last plane we did that had all the screw bags labeled? Or can we not talk of these things?
We can't talk about it yet.
Oh, okay. It's a super high class secret.
I think, unless it was.
There's 1, 2, 3, 4 screws that are the same size seemingly. And then there's some more, but are they all the same?
Are they all the same?
They look like they might be the same.
same.
Kind of hard to tell. Okay, so this is metal to metal. So like if you really want to do Loctite, you could hypothetically do Loctite here. It's definitely really, really easy going. I'm sort of concerned. I feel like I should be nervous that this is gonna hold up.
Why?
I don't know. I've just had enough planes. I've had enough planes in my life to know what's not gonna hold up, and it just makes me nervous because it's too easy right now.
Oh. Well, it didn't say like.
Number 2 Phillips screwdriver. Number 2 Phillips. I thought it was one landing gear assembly on the old one. That's good. That's good. Okay. And then there's another hole over here, and that's what passes through to the wing. So the wing and the landing gear are actually attached together. In fact, why are we waiting? Let's just put the wing in. Or should we, you know what? It's gonna be a pain to build everything else if I do that.
Yeah.
So that's why we're not gonna do that.
Okay.
Okay, I got the steering gear ready to go. I'm gonna just spin this around. Looks kind of like a helicopter right now. That would be a sweet scale helicopter. Horizon, if you're listening, why don't we get some scale helicopters like that? That would be sweet. You know, like one that's got a little rope that comes out the side. You can drop it down and pick up people. Would that not be the coolest thing ever? Like in Deadliest Catch, you could license it with the Coast Guard, and you could have like a little rescue swimmers and stuff.
That came with it.
Oh man, you could have little guy from Deadliest Catch just like all beat up, like Stretch Armstrong. Okay.
See, why aren't they listening to us?
I don't know. Evidently, we don't sell
Good
enough
ideas.
stuff. Okay. Let's stick it in the hole. Whoop. Sweet. Oh no. Everybody died. Sorry. Oh yeah, that's gorgeous. That does look like a helicopter. It's so weird. Oh yes. Loving it. All right, so Cirrus SR22T. So I believe Angelina Jolie has one of these airplanes, which is cool. She brings all of her children from Africa home in it. What?
No idea.
She adopts like a bunch of African children, you know.
I know. Well, I knew that.
You did?
Yes.
Oh, I'm not
How
supposed
old do you
to.
think I am?
I'm not supposed to say things like this. Is that what you're saying? Have I gotten myself in trouble again? As usual. What's this? ASRX only? What? Oh, it's a bind plug. Why do you need a bind plug? I'm just gonna put that in my bag of tricks.
Bind plug in the bag.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Well, we don't need the bind plug. We'll just press the button. Okay, so the steering wheel, get that sort of as centered as it needs to be centered. And then this thing needs to, I remember this part. It wasn't very fun. I remember because it was like awkward to get the angle down there. Because look where the screwdriver has to be. I do remember this part. This is a pain. And then this. Oh, dang it. Oh, son of a gun. Ripped right off of there. So strange. Okay, so there's your light controller right in front of the screwdriver there. Okay, so I'm gonna just tighten this. Okay, oh boy, it doesn't want to straighten up. Straighten up, you little son of a gun. No, but seriously, Angelina Jolie has a Cirrus SR22T. She does. Did you know that's a left-hand stick?
Did she fly it?
Yeah, she's a pilot. She's like the man's man. Seriously, I'm surprised you didn't know this. She's also Tomb Raider. You may have noticed.
I see. I didn't know that too.
You didn't know she was Tomb Raider?
I did know that.
Okay.
I mean, I don't get out much, but I did know that.
Oh my goodness. Oh, come on. You know, I'm feeling like maybe I'm doing something wrong here. Like, am I doing something wrong here? See, it's not coming off, so I feel like I got it somewhat tighter.
But what is that attached to?
That's attached to the steering, the nose gear, camera crew. Seriously.
No.
Look. It's just a screw, it's just a collar.
But that doesn't have to hook on, the little holes don't have to
Well,
hook on
maybe I'm
anything?
putting it on upside down. That would be kind of embarrassing, but totally possible. All right.
We should look at the bag.
let's look at the instructions
Let me read
again.
them to you.
It would probably be better if you did. I'm sure I would make less mistakes. It's still awkward to get that screw angle. Okay, yeah, so you're supposed to put that on. That's what I was doing. Yeah, I was doing it right, because if you had it the other way, the screw would be on the wrong side.
But you don't have to put it on the little push rod thing or anything?
That's what I did. That's what I was doing. This? Well, you got to put it on the. Oh, you're just saying do that first?
Well, how
Well,
else are
I
you going to
suppose.
get it on
Which hole do I stick it in?
there? Whichever one you want.
I'm going to remember that.
Wrong. Where? It doesn't say.
It's open season.
This is a terrible view, by the way. I'm going back over here while you figure out what you're doing wrong.
I'm going to find what hole to stick it in because I have to read it in a manual, evidently.
Apparently so.
What manual do you check to see what hole to stick it in? I don't think this way. Come to Brian Phillips RC. We will teach you the ways to be murdered. I don't see it anywhere. I saw it earlier. There's something about where the holes go. But seriously, I'm looking.
Oh, you're too far now.
No, it's because I already looked at those other pages. They're only like 6 pages. Yeah, see, look what I'm seriously looking at. There's a place that talks about that. I know, but rudder and elevator.
Oh.
That's why I'm confused. It didn't show a detail on that.
No,
Outer hole. Outer hole.
Oh, you do have to actually read.
Outer hole. Okay. Now I can tighten the screw. Now that I have everything straight, there should be no problemo. Okay, so I am pushing way back here. See, my middle finger is pressing, and then I am turning the screwdriver. It is awkward. That nose gear goes in at a slight angle. So as a result, it's quite difficult to make the angle with the screwdriver, okay? So they were talking about the makeup to make it go straight, and that's why we have that access off. So I mean, it's actually not terrible right now. It's not perfect either, but you know, we'll see how it turns on. Sometimes the servos move a little bit. But that's not tight. Like that's gonna be a bit of a problem. See?
Yeah.
So how the heck, what am I doing wrong? Why is it not tightening? I think what I need to do is get a Phillips screwdriver that's smaller. Maybe. Look.
Insert the Z-bend push rod into the outer hole of the steering arm. Use Phillips screw. Reinstall the cowl.
I mean, it's not like a hard step. I'm just evidently don't have it tight. I don't have it tight enough. Because that should be going into a flat on this steering nose gear. But like, am I like missing the flat? Oh, ooh, did you see it just popped? I don't know what I was doing wrong, but I can definitely tell I just got like 3 turns on it. Now it feels tight, you see? Okay, look, now it won't move. See?
Yeah.
If I move, it's moving, but just barely. So I just gotta go torque it down just a hair. I have a trick for that, by the way. If you have a bolt that's in a stubborn spot or a screw that's in a stubborn spot, sometimes it's a lot easier to get in here like this and just grab it with needle nose pliers if you have texture and just turn it. Almost like you're grabbing onto it with the teeth of the device, okay? Now, if your needle nose aren't working, then what you can do is you can step up to a lineman pliers like this. And all we need is just a little teeny bit more purchase, okay? So I'm grabbing on there and I'm turning. I mean, I'm only getting like an eighth of an inch, or I'm getting like a 16th of a turn. Show them the teeth mark on that screw now. You see that? There's teeth mark on there. Mm-hmm. Because I've literally bit it so hard. And now when I move it, it feels like, grab that and move that. You're moving the servo if you move it now. Okay, so I'm gonna just go ever so slightly further. It would have been really cool if that was actually a bolt with a bolt head on it, because then you could sit there and turn it in, but then you'd have a nut driver, so you might as well be a screwdriver, I guess. Okay, well, no problem. No harm, no foul, because it's done. All right, well, while I've got the front off, why don't I just go ahead and do this? This is where you would want to be careful. Don't cut yourself, obviously. People get hurt in this hobby cutting their fingers, so don't do that. The best way to do that is to leave the prop off until you're ready to fly, and then you just install it at the last second. We're going to throw caution to the wind. Don't be like me, fingerless. Unscrew this. We're just showing this for the sake of time because we always make short videos here on Brand Phillips RC.
Yes.
Okay, that's going to get squished. The pedals will get squished when this gets pulled tight. Okay, so that goes onto the motor mount. Then the prop goes back, pushes back with this nut. Then this receives a Phillips screw, which is inside of here, as you can see, right there. So that will, I need to tighten that, yeah.
No, but you have to put the cowl top back on first.
I don't know yet. I can't remember for sure. I think I can probably get it. But that is a good point, Kim Kerr. Thank you for asking. Oh, yeah, it does work. Okay, sweet. So that's always nice.
Yeah.
So then you need to have some sort of like a crescent wrench or a, you know, some other type of device, whether it be pliers or, I just prefer a crescent wrench because it's quicker than going to find whatever the right size is for this. The right size crescent wrench is the crescent wrench. Oh, and this is not a crescent wrench. This is the Chinese fake one. Crescent ones. We do have crescent ones in there. They're a lot nicer. They sometimes, the mouth opens wider. Seriously. Okay, so we'll push this together and then we'll take the screwdriver. It's like a #1 Phillips probably. If you guys don't know what I mean when I say a #1, this is actually a P0, Phillips 0. So that's the size of the tip. Shown down there by the finger choppy, that's a #2.
#2.
Show them on the side of the handle where it says P2. Okay. I don't know if this one's labeled. This one's tool shop, so it's extra crappy. Yeah, pH 0 by 6. Okay. So 0 is the same as 0. See that? Learn something new every day. You can also get a 1.5 as a pretty common size. All right, so that's on. Be careful, don't cut yourself. Prop starts and you're not prepared, you will get cut. If it starts into you, and then you might need stitches and stuff, and it's not fun, from what I've been told. Okay, wing joiner. I'm just gonna slide this through because I'm gonna forget otherwise. Just lay that down. Very nice, rock solid feeling. Okay, this thing for the tail. That is a very long rod. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, they were suggesting the next step would be this, so that's fine. Okay, so this keys into that, so just make sure to be mindful about where that ends up. There's a hole here. There's not really a sleeve or anything, it's just like foam, so be aware. Oh, that fits so good. Got to rotate. Look how wide the tail is on this plane.
Yeah.
That's bigger than some other planes. General aviation aircraft, especially the scale ones, have huge tails, or many of them do at least. Okay, got that. Absolutely gorgeous. Look at that action. Oh, amazing. Gotta love it. It's such a non-issue, or it shouldn't be, but it always turns out being an issue. On the planes, the cheaper they are, the bigger issue it is. And regrettably, it turns into a lot of conflict for the person that's putting it together. We put a lot of these together. Eesh, how's this gonna work? Okay, that'll work. What I was trying to do was set this down so I could hook up the elevator, but I'm gonna leave the elevator unhooked from this control rod mechanism until we're done with radio setup or starting the radio setup, because then we'll know that it's not needing any mechanical adjustment. So I have a bunch of small screws here, and then I have, looks like 2 of the longer ones 3 of the shorter ones, but one of those looks like it's got a different thread count on it. Could just be a fluke. What do you think? If you look at those 3, that one looks different than those 2.
It does look a little bit different.
It's weird. I wonder if that's the one that it receives its antenna. Let's see. It's the only one that's different, and this is the only one that's singular. So I guess we can try that and see if that works. I don't know. I just can't sit here and say that that feels right. It feels like it's too much.
Well, maybe process of elimination, we'll see what we've got left.
That's what we're gonna have to do. Okay, so we gotta screw the tail in. Okay, so there's a screw that goes here and a screw that goes here. Just grab this. I assume we need the pointy ones, because that's like legitimately what is in the drawing, right? Shows pointy ones.
Let's see, where are we at? Yep.
Yep, self-tapping.
Yeah.
This one. Okay. There's an extremely small mark, I believe, that says where the center is. I love that this screws together. That is so nice. It is so nice not to have a bunch of, okay, I'm feeling with my finger. I do not want that to come through. Okay, it's in. Don't feel any problems there. It does seem a little bit inadequate because it's so simple and so small, but it's, I don't know, seems to be pretty much per the instructions. Okay, and we'll try to, you know what? I don't feel like that's all the way in. This wing feels like it needs to go just a hair more. I love that this is so thin. This wing is like super, super scale looking, but it's also gonna be nice and strong, so it'll fly good, like the real thing. That's one thing that E-flite does super, super good, is they will take a model and they will make sure that it flies good. They're not gonna release it in a condition where it flies crappy, because that's embarrassing. And you're not gonna have to do a ton of tweaks just to make the thing fly well, in our experience with Horizon. So that's always much appreciated. Well, that's weird. At one point they must have had, I wonder what that's for. There was like a fold down on there, see? There's like a place to receive a hinged bracket. Oh, that's for the step. That's for the steps. There's steps, foot pedals that go in there.
Oh, that's where those go.
Yep, and so there are 3 screws, and they do appear to be about the same size. But the screws for the steps were in the bag with the steps. See? So you can see they actually included them.
Yep.
Now, I thought I remembered gluing these on the original one. Could be mistaken on that too. Sometimes it's hard to remember because we've done just so many planes.
And it's been a while since we've done that one.
Yeah, this plane's been out. It's been like discontinued for so long. Okay, I'm just gonna see if I get this right. I may be lucky and get it right the first time. I think I got it right. Okay, so I'm gonna line up the screw on the tip of my finger. I'm gonna try to hold on to it like this. And pass that screw through. That's not an antenna, that's actually a pushing handle, I think. You push the airplane with it maybe too. I'm not sure if it's a footstep or you push the plane with it. But either way, it's a thing that looks like it could be a step or a handle. Yeah, I'm gonna need to probably. So guys, if you're watching this video and you think, goodness gracious, these guys put in a lot of effort, don't forget to like the video. And you know, if you want to help support us financially, because these things do take a lot of time for both me and the camera crew. Of course, I love it. She tolerates it because I do. The best thing you can do is buy the airplanes that you like. That'll help support us financially. And then also, I'm going to go with this short one because we're to process of elimination, camera crew. We're going to have to do something. Because I know that takes a screw. There's no doubt about it. I just think, oh, that feels pretty good right there. That felt real good.
Okay.
It just feels like it needs to be shorter. But it is going. So yeah, if you guys want to support us, that's the easiest way to do it, is just buy an airplane that you like, or the radio system, maybe battery, whatever it happens to be that you're watching a video about. Ooh, that's got a lot of slop on it. I don't like that. I want to tighten that more. And if you don't like the airplane we happen to be reviewing, but you still see some value in it and you'd like to support us in a financial way, there's Patreon, which is a monthly support system. And then there's also PayPal. Patreon charges a lot of fees, just so you guys know. Obviously, if I'm supporting somebody, I want to know that support's making it to them. It is kind of a function, a means to an end, you know, for us content creators, trying to kind of make a living at it, if you will. Patreon is nice, but it's also just so much of the support ends up in their hands. If you don't like that, PayPal is super cheap. There's like no fees unless you're overseas. In case you guys were wondering. Okay, so wing has a spar pocket and a spar that starts here. It looks like goes all the way up to here. See if you can see it through the window. See what I'm talking about right here? Mm-hmm. That's great. All right, so let's slide this in. We love doing these videos, but YouTube hates the fact that they're so long. They punish us. So what happens is, if you guys don't like the videos, then we get hurt pretty bad. Still don't understand what that plastic is there. I wonder if it's like something that they've embedded into this whole assembly. You know, like this is all part of the same plastic assembly, maybe? Mm-hmm. It does feel really sturdy here at the base of the wing. I don't remember the quick detach on the original one, but this is a long wing. And look at this, guys.
Yeah.
You need to transport this plane. That is a big plane. Okay, so suppose you have a car and you're trying to transport this. You're gonna have trouble if you can't do this. And there are no wires. It's all quick disconnect. So that is really nice. So you could have it with just 2 screws. I feel like this one's gonna line up perfectly and the other one's not so much. Feels like it's out like about
just a little bit.
Yeah, a couple millimeters. So let's start with the one that's here, because that's where I'm standing. See what I'm doing? I'm grabbing right here where there's some strength, and I'm walking this. I want you to come up close. See that hole, how it's not lined up? See that right there? Mm-hmm. Watch what happens when I do that. Show them back, go back a little bit. See this? I'm rocking the wing forward and backward. When I rock it backward, that lines up the back hole. Get the hard one first, then the other one will be easier to rock in because it kind of neutralizes the pressure. Okay, so I'm gonna do this. Just drop that screw in there. A little awkward to get it started, geez. There we go. And this I'm gonna use a number 2 Phillips for. And I'm just looking at this little pocket there. And that's going right in. So far, so good. Okay. Okay, now I can let go. Of course, it's gonna rock down. And this one, the opposite. Why is it tipping so much? Why would it tip? I mean, it's like both wings are on.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
So violently, no less. See, just holding that in. So weird. Okay, so that's tight. Toit like a toiga. Everything seems pretty symmetrical. I don't know why it would tip like that. It's so strange. All right. Oh, you know why? because this was turned at an angle. That's why. All right, so I have 2 more big screws. We're just gonna kind of look at the holes. Looks like we'll have to do a little rocking again. So my plan is I'm gonna rock and do the back first. So I'm just holding this with my elbow and then pulling back toward it with my right hand. You wanna show them the whole wide view because I'm just tightening the screw. So I'm barely putting any pressure on it. And yes, as you're watching this, you're like, how hard could it be, Brian? Just get one. You'll see. It'll be fun.
I mean, it is a build video.
So I'm gonna try to tighten this, but I have to kind of do the same thing where I stick the elbow thing works good. Where I get this, but then of course the prop is sort of in the way. I'm just trying to get my elbow here so that when I pull, I'm pulling to collapse this pocket here, and then I can use this to screw in the screw. Yep, there you go. Not too bad. We've had a lot worse. You guys know from watching it. Okay, cool, so that's done. I do not know if these are strakes or what these are. There's like a little detail right here. It's cool looking. But I don't know if it's supposed to be like a scale antenna or like I was saying, a strake. I think technically a strake would go on the side of an engine nacelle. And it's like a vortex generator to help offset drag from strange objects on plane. It says no step on it, so it's definitely supposed to be there. So it's got a detail on it. I'm just noticing a little chunk of glue on mine that I'm taking off. But it's just kind of hard to get to. Okay, I got my little booger of glue off of there. You can see. Nothing too bad. White on white, you wouldn't have seen it anyway. Okay, so we have antennas that need to go on here, and I'm just noticing that this screw is really not tight. Oh yeah, that's good. Yeah, that one's good too.
That one went in better.
All right, so we have an antenna on the back, on the tail, and an antenna on top that is right inside. Let's do that one first. Okay, so I've got this antenna that's gonna go into the tail. And I'm trying to remember how that works, because I think I have to move the rudder. You see there's a hole to receive the screw, and then this goes in like that.
Do we have screws still? Yep.
This one has a screw from a top. Beautiful.
Nice.
There's only 2 screws left, so no extras.
Okay.
And you'll note that my antenna is a little bit bent. That's disappointing. See it? It's got kind of a twist to it.
Oh yeah.
Nothing I can't immediately break if I try. Now it just looks like we had a bird strike. Okay, that's fine. Now the tail, this one I might need to kind of force the rudder over. Ooh, I don't like that noise. This definitely goes down. Drop that into the pocket, and then this slips down in. Okay, so then all I need is 1 screw to go straight down.
Was that on the V1?
Yeah, I think it was.
Huh.
I don't know, maybe it wasn't. Ooh, need a Phillips screw. There it is. Oh, that's not very good. Okay, we're gonna go back to the old trusty huge long one. There we go. All right, so that pretty much is the assembly. The only thing that we haven't done so far is marked the proper CG. I think what we're gonna do is we are going to do that right now, actually, because there's no reason not to, right?
Right.
Okay, so we gotta mark the CG at 53 plus or minus 4. So that would be 49 to 57. So here's 49, right? And that's from the leading edge at the inboard portion of the wing. Okay. I'm just looking at this right here. And this is always the point of ambiguity here. Like, where does the actual wing start? Does it start here or does it start here? And that's one of the gripes we've had for years on these planes is like, do we measure from here or do we measure from the front surface of the wing? I'm just gonna throw caution to the wind and measure from the front surface of the wing. Okay, so right here, imagining this tapers back, okay, exaggerated. So we wanna measure a straight line right here and back. But I don't wanna put it so far inboard that it's hard to feel it. Okay, because we're gonna test this one upside down. So I'm making a bump. You know what? I'm gonna make my bump out here. So it's equidistant from the edge of the stepping path and this de-icing agent fill cap. Okay, 49. Okay, so I'm gonna do the same thing over here. Just measuring, and then I make a mark just like that. And then we're gonna do one red dot. Some of you guys are probably screaming, why did you just put a red dot on your plane? Because I need to see the red dot. So this is gonna be 57. It's a big range.
It is. For a narrow wing chord especially.
Okay, 57 millimeters. By 8 millimeters. Okay, so that makes sense. Now, why do I make a big bump in there? So I can feel it. If you can't feel it, you're not gonna know where the mark is, okay? Now this is not, you know, like a perfect method, and there's definitely other ways to do it. I've done it a million different ways just in the course of my time doing these radio controlled airplanes. I put tape down, put CA on top of it, put kicker on it, just so I can readjust it if I need to, but why would you ever readjust it? And then secondly, I've also taken and used hot glue drips. I've taken CA straight to the wing. I've used, some people use push tacks. Just whatever your taste is, it's fine. And obviously check the CG with the battery in. So before we get ready to do the radio setup, which will be the next step for us, we'll just leave this out of the way here. We'll go ahead and grab the battery of choice. The battery of choice for me is 3200 4S. It's kind of like the popular battery lately. I've used it on a bunch of planes lately. What do they recommend actually? Or did they make a recommendation?
It should be in there.
Battery would be 4S 2200. Well, if they're recommending 4S 2200, I'm gonna go ahead and run the recommended battery first. I'll come back to that if we have any issues. 4S 2200 Gen 2, this battery has seen a lot of life. Mine is starting to get a little bit plump. Probably should get replaced soon because we're getting a little puffage going. And maybe that's got something to do with flying to low voltage warning like every time I fly. I'm not sure. Okay, so first things first, we need to make a new model. Well, no, we don't. We can stick this in here. We will show you guys how to do thrust reverse, by the way, okay? And it is strange, that receiver does not look like it's square. But that mounting bracket looks like it's intentionally mounted at that angle. That is very weird. I do not understand that. Do you see that? It looks like it's like this. It's not on a straight plane, and I don't understand why. It looks intentional though, to me. So, because it looks like a little 3D printed bracket to hold it. These are the mid-quality grade straps. They're fine for holding a 2200, that's for sure. If you want your battery to not slide, the easiest thing to do is just use shelf liner. Stick shelf liner on there. I don't like having Velcro. It makes it really hard to undo the batteries. The shelf liner also makes it hard to slide. Okay, so like even this, I can barely get undone. Goodness gracious. Ow. What did I do? So just trying to separate this. Goodness gracious. I think they accidentally glued it. Look, that's why I'm having such a hard time. It got into the glue. I'm gonna use a screwdriver to release that. See why I don't wanna have that tip down there? It's gonna be a pain. So, ideally, you'll pull this tight and then you'll just kind of leave that up here. And that's the thing is, you see this? That's gonna get in the way of this going down, okay? So you have to basically fold that and stick it to itself, or, you know, get it far enough back so you can stick onto the sticky part. And then that does undermine the bite to a degree, okay? So It is what it is. I think we're okay. And then just so you can quickly simulate the weight without actually firing it up, because we aren't bound yet. We aren't binded up yet. We're gonna drop that down there. Just kind of simulate where the wires are gonna be for a center of gravity test. Drop that on, everything looks gorgeous. And what we can do is just pick this up upside down. Make sure you check above you. Sometimes you'll swing the tail into the ceiling if you're not careful. Okay, on the back set of holes, 2200 4S. On the front set of holes, definitely tail heavy. Okay, so we gotta come forward with the battery on a 2200 4S. Gen 2, a Gen 1 might be a little bit heavier, a little bit lighter. I honestly don't know. Okay, so I'm gonna pull this forward. There's tons of room in here. You put a giant battery in there. And this luggage tray, you can go under that too. So don't think you're limited to that spot. I'm gonna actually pull it quite a bit forward. And I would say at this point, the shelf liner might be kind of a wise decision, but we'll see how this goes. If you're just shooting touch and goes over and over and over again, you're more likely to move that battery than you might think. Especially if you land planes like I do. Nose forward on the back hole, tail heavy on the front hole, on the back hole. We're nose heavy on the front hole, we're tail heavy. I think that's a great place to be. So I'm just gonna make my initial kind of scribbles so that I can remember what type of battery is supposed to be used by default. Now, I think the 3200 4S is gonna be a great size for this battery, but I'm just gonna make my initial marks here and here. I always draw an arrow so I know what direction I ran the wires. So 2200 4S 30C G2. Okay. And then we can always change that out for something a little bit different later. Okay, so the next step is radio setup. We also need to mechanically attach the elevator. All right, so now that we're done with all the CG and everything, we'll just plop the cover on, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through radio setup. So I think at this point, we'll turn the plane around, face the tail at us, and this is just to make it a little easier for us to kind of understand what's going on. Should be pretty straightforward stuff. And I just remembered, you don't even have to plug in any of the plugs. I was thinking, hey, when do we plug in the plugs? You don't plug in the plugs. They're already plugged in. All right, so the plane's pointed away from us. This is where you would potentially open up the manual, and you would go, in this particular case, you'd go to the page that is right here. So page 4, it looks like it's always page 4 lately.
Yeah.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click the back and the cancel buttons. I'm gonna go to add new model, create an acro. Takes a few seconds for this to happen, so we'll just set that down. And then this is the section we're looking for. In our case, we have an NX8, so we're gonna be looking at this right here. This kind of outlines the number of different items that are important. And plus we wanna also look at thrust reverse, but we already know how to do that, so we'll show you exactly how to do that as well. Thrust reverse is very unnecessary, but very cool and fun, and we're gonna definitely take advantage. Okay, so model select, we already did that. This is where it spits you out once you pick a model or you create a new one. Model name, this is where we type in a model. This is number 107 for us, except that number is skewed because we have some stuff copied over from another transmitter. I think we got like 90. Okay, so this is where you would type in the name. Name is usually located on the front of the manual, so that's what I'm gonna do right now. I'm using a legacy keyboard. Yours might look a little bit different. If you like the legacy keyboard, it's under system setup. You can change that back. All right, so I've got Cirrus SR22T, 1.5 meter V2. Okay, so this is the V2. It doesn't really say anything here on that. Aircraft type, we've already got that figured out. Should be pretty easy. One aileron, one flap. One flap. Tail type is normal. Next, and then we have a picture here. It's probably not super far off. I don't think there's a Cirrus, is there? There might be.
That first one's pretty close.
Yeah, the acro is pretty close. Oh, yep. Oh, dang it. Yeah, that's pretty close. General aviation. Why don't we have a King Air? That'd be awesome. Okay, flight mode setup. Okay, so they're suggesting we don't need a flight mode because they don't talk about it here, but we do need a flight mode, and I'll tell you why. Yeah, they don't even talk about it. Come on, man. Okay, well, I'll talk about it. Okay, so we have no retract, so I'm gonna go ahead and use switch A, which is back here. If I did have retracts, this would be retracts, this would be my flaps, and then this would be my safe on, off, or whatever. AS3X on, AS3X off, safe on. We're gonna do switch A.
Can I make a comment?
What?
When you put it on switch A, then you always want to retract the gear and then you switch into safe when you don't mean to.
Yeah, I know. But I do it here because it's, when
Easier
people
to
are flying a plane without retracts, I want them to have the quicker access to it.
Okay.
This is harder to get to if you're a thumb flyer. If you're a pincer grip, then it's not as big a deal to get to this, but I still feel like it's easy to make a mistake. Whereas here, I have no problems. And plus, I only need safe and AS3X.
Right.
It's not like I need the off condition.
Right.
The
Okay.
reason I need off is if I don't have the channel available for gains. And then I do need to be able to turn off AS3X too. So in this case, I understand what you're saying. I'm gonna go switch A. That also only gives us 2 modes, okay? Not a big deal, but just so you know, okay? See that? And then you can make a matrix of control choices if you have 2 switches involved for 2 flight modes. So you can do switch 1, condition 1 would be flight mode 1. Switch 2, condition 1 would be flight mode 2. Switch 2 position, 1, 2, 1, 2. So that would give you 6 different conditions. Now, why would you ever need that? If you've got like an F-14 with swept wings, you would need that, okay? If you have a plane that has really nasty tendencies because the flaperons work like crap, you could set up multiple flight modes for every condition of flap, and you could make your attachment to the flap switch, not the C switch. I usually tie in C for accessory items, and then I use G for throttle reverse, pilot fatigue if I have it, but I don't do pilot fatigue on prop planes, too dangerous. Fully controllable reverse thrust, fully controllable reverse thrust, and then forward thrust. Because everything is in the neutral state, or F is gonna be the center state for dual rates and expo, and then throttle cuts on switch H. You get used to it, you do it always the same way, and then if you move up to another transmitter level, you're gonna have all these basic switches here. From NX6 all the way up, okay? Which I've had the NX6, I've also had a DX18, so this is, from my personal experience, where I have the most comfort. I don't use my trims. Some guys will attach the elevator correction to these, and I just haven't ever gotten into that, so. Okay, so spoken flight mode, this is where you can set the flight mode to say what it is. Now, I just recently started doing this. It's kind of a pain. You see how it changes? You don't have to do this, but I'm going to go ahead and show you. I want safe. This is gonna be AS3X is gonna be in the back condition. So we're looking for AS3X, right?
Have to go past the waypoints.
There's safe, there's AS3X, okay? So then if you highlight the first character, double click the cancel and it clears, and then you can scroll in AS3X super quick. So, whoops. AS3X, which is stabilization if you guys aren't familiar. You do not have to do this step. This is just an option to make it look cleaner when you're running. And it is really nice to know what mode you're in for sure. So then you can test it. And you'll be testing it every time you make that switch in the rest of the menu structure. Okay, so then this one, we'll just name it first. Now remember, this doesn't actually set anything to anything. It's just a name, it's a label. You could make it say, you know, your first name or whatever, I don't care. It's just, this is a name, okay? So you still have to set up safe to operate, and we'll explain that through the course of this video, okay? And then we gotta scroll all the way down again, all the way down past the waypoints, and then you'll see safe. So it's about like there. You can, incidentally, you can actually set up your own basic, you know, like choices, and you can also build a template.
Safe mode. AS3X mode.
Okay. All right, so then channel assign, I want switch B to not be affiliated with auxiliary 2. I am going to gear is gonna be A. So B doesn't really matter, but I'm still gonna inhibit it. And here's why. Switch B is gonna be flaps, which is auxiliary 1. It's already blocked out for flaps, okay? All right, so then we'll walk out. First things first, we're gonna set up our dual rates and expo. This is our standard. We'll set it to switch F. This is a deviation from what the manual calls for. This is highly preferential. If you don't like this preference, do it your own way. Just understand that I've worked through a lot of models and I have a reason for doing this. The reason is I have less expo. I have the median amount of expo. Then I have more expo. And then I have lower rates. Now, why do you need to have all these different things going on? You start in the normal median mode, you have half or you have double. You get done flying, you realize I needed more, then you make that your new middle, and then you do half and you do double again. And then you just repeat that process until you've refined it to a perfect level. And you do that for each of the control channel axes. There's only 3, it's very easy to tell. You'll know, where was I struggling? Where was the problem? I rarely play with that, but I have played with it today on another model, but it was not a bind and fly E-flite plane. I can tell you that. We rarely have to do anything more than this, and they fly very good, okay? Throttle cut. I don't know why this isn't a default. It should be a default. Horizon, if you're listening, make it a default, make it on unless you turn it off. That would be a smart maneuver, okay? Then we're gonna go to digital switch setup. If you didn't do your audio vents, you could set it here. We're not gonna do that because we don't need to, okay? Flap system, we're gonna set it to switch B. This is actually outlined in the manual now. Okay, so
8.
looks like minus 100 for normal. And then plus 100, I'm assuming. 10% elevator correction? Goodness gracious, that's a lot. %. Sorry, I did that backward, guys. That was kind of dumb. I wasn't even looking at the screen. Okay, so 2% deployment, or 2-second deployment speed, 0% elevator correction tie, then 6, then 10, okay? All right, so then we got a throttle cut's already set, minus 100%, that's good. Everything else looks good. So the last thing we need to do is basically forward programming to make our assignment for safe, and then thrust reverse, which we'll show you exactly how to do that in the course of events, which is coming right now. So we're ready to bind. Pretty exciting stuff. If you've installed the prop at this point, make sure you are prepared to secure the plane. Worst case scenario, you've got that thing spinning, something goes horribly wrong, which this has never happened in my entire experience doing this. I have had them spin, but they usually spin really slow, and it's usually just a freak thing where you have a throttle range that needs to be calibrated because you're replacing an ESC or doing something weird, okay? So that being said, pop the canopy. I'll just, actually, because it's so beautiful, I'm gonna lay it over here so it's out of the way. Okay, throttle cut is on, stick is down. My hand's safe. I won't get hit if it starts taking off, okay? Camera crew is safe in case it takes off, meaning it starts spinning, not if it takes off in the living room. If it takes off in the living room, we're gonna have a hole in the wall. Okay, battery is plugged in. Look at that sweet light. Obviously, we need to now bind. So I have to go back here and press this button. It's flashing. I'm gonna push this back to where it belongs. Now I'm gonna click, I'm gonna scroll into bind. You wanna step off to the side, please, in case that thing has an accident. One dance. Bind is complete. Okay, cool. So throttle is not working, that's good. Throttle cuts off, and it is working, very good. Okay, throttle cuts back on. So the first thing we need to do is we are going to verify the direction of travel. Elevator is not hooked up. Now we're not in safe because it would have danced twice. That would have indicated that safe is active. Safe is not currently active. We'll establish how to do that here in just a second, but for now, let's go ahead and hook up our elevator. We have established that the prop is not going to start spinning on our own. Is that antenna out of the way?
Yep, you're good there.
Okay, so all we have to do on this is pretty simple. We just have to hook this to the innermost hole. So these are super easy. Just do this. That falls off or swings around. In my case, I want it to fall off and I want to go to the inside hole. Look how straight that is. That's pretty dang good.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
Okay, then this goes on. It's a little bit awkward because you have to kind of get a fingernail or something in there. See how that's goes on like that? Then it snaps down onto the steel. Okay, so it's snapped, done. If you want more, you have to go in. If you want less, you go out. So if it's too pitchy, you can take that up to the middle hole or to the outside hole. Or alternatively, you can also make adjustments in that area right there. Make adjustments. So you see where it's going, the elevator? I can't see it myself. Where's the elevator? Can you point out?
Right here.
Okay, so you can go, it's on the outside hole?
Yes.
Okay, you could move it to the inside hole if you wanted less output. And you would have a little bit more precision than if you were to go to the center hole. There'd be a little bit less change because there's like 4 holes. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn the plane around, grab it by the tail. See how wide it is? That's awesome. I love the way this plane looks. Okay, so elevator goes up, elevator goes down. Ailerons roll left, ailerons roll right. Takeoff flaps, landing flaps, yaw left, yaw right, yaw left, yaw right. Okay, so everything's working fantastically. So the last thing we have to do is set up safe and then thrust reverse, okay? So safe is super easy to turn on. Listen. Oh, it's an aileron, okay. So if you ever hear a buzz like zzz, make sure you just see if you can figure out where it is. It's the elevator. Rudder. Rudder. Okay. It's not uncommon to have a little bind on a rudder, especially if there's a steerable tail wheel, a steerable nose wheel, either one of those, because you're actually loading it somewhat or loading it somewhat. And when that moves, sometimes it doesn't always get totally back to position. So inside of that gear housing, inside of your servo, there's a bunch of gears that turn each other. So there's like a bunch of mechanical advantage. And it's trying to turn the output shaft to whatever position it needs to get to. And because the wheel is cattywampus a little bit and there's weight on it, it can't quite find the center point. So the motor keeps turning. Get there, get there, get there. Or it's fighting back and forth and it's like in an oscillation. It can't quite get the sweet spot. That's the noise you hear. It's not AS3X yet. That's AS3X, okay? So AS3X is active because we gave throttle over 25% evidently. Let's set up the reverse thrust. So as you can see, reverse thrust would be on this channel. So I'll just demonstrate it's not gonna do anything. Throttle, nothing, nothing. Well, but you don't know your servo, there's nothing attached to it, right? Okay, true. Throttle cuts on, sticks down. I'm gonna show you how to set up thrust reverse right now. Super easy, unplug your battery. You have to do this within so many seconds of initiation. Okay. Okay, scroll all the way to the right. Look for step 2. Now it's going to jump in the menu. You control the menu structure with this. Brake force is supposed to be set to some other number like 11. Okay, channel 7. This is channel 8. Channel 7 was attached to B, right? Because it was auxiliary 2. Auxiliary 1, nothing's attached to G, so we'll make an assignment to channel 7 because we're not using channel 7 for anything. We are using channel 5 for gear. We are using channel 6 for flaps. Okay, so channel 7 will be reverse in this case. Or I could change it to 8, but then that would be associated to this knob, okay? So we're gonna exit with save, and you have to go over to exit with save. Now listen to it reboot, cover yourself in case something goes wrong. Worst case scenario, you have this sitting over here, the thing takes off on you, you can sit there and just let the battery die. It'll suck, it'll be the longest 7 minutes of your life. But the thing is, no big deal, nobody got hurt, okay? So now I'm gonna scroll off of that. You don't need to be looking at that necessarily. Okay, so throttle cut's working. Everything's working there. And there is a little bit of braking, but it's light because I left it at 0, which is the way I like it, but you're supposed to set it to like 11 or something. Now, we have to make an assignment so that when I move switch G, something happens. Nothing's happening. None of those channels change, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into system setup, disconnect RF, go down to channel assign. I'm gonna assign auxiliary 2 to switch G, okay? That's channel 7. Okay, throttle cut is off currently. That's blowing this way. It kept blowing that way, but when I shut the throttle off, it's going forward. It's going forward. Oh, it's going reverse. Look at the plants. Okay. You can hear an obvious difference in noise. Okay, so we're still in reverse. Now, in monitor mode, you can see what auxiliary 2's condition. So negative 100 is forward thrust. Reverse thrust is anything else, okay? I don't like anything else. Throttle cut's on, so we're safe. Now we should be able to leave this cover on, hypothetically, until we would fly, but we're probably still gonna switch batteries at some point. We have to do safe assignment too, which you never did, but let's finish this up here. So then you can go to digital switch setup. You can select the switch you assigned, which is switch G. I want 0 to be forward thrust, okay? So I'm gonna set this all the way to minus 100, keeping in mind that that only indicates the direction of travel, not the amplitude of thrust. This is on, keep it on. Don't cut yourself, guys. Throttle stick is down. That's negative 100. This one's gonna be plus 100. You're like, why plus 100? Well, I just want as much room to distinguish between the two conditions as possible. That's gonna be reverse thrust. This is also gonna be reverse thrust, okay? So basically what's gonna happen is, I don't want ambiguity. 0 is ambiguous. 20 is ambiguous. Plus 30 is ambiguous. Minus 30 is ambiguous. Minus 100 is not ambiguous. Plus 100 is not ambiguous, okay? So that's reverse thrust, and forward thrust, okay? I set it up that way so it's the same with reverse thrust if I have pilot fatigue. So pilot fatigue would be when I have throttle cut off and I pull this back, it's full throttle and reverse. You'll note that if I shut off throttle cut, nothing happens because my stick is down. Okay, now it's gonna come backward, okay? It's also gonna come backward. I wanna go forward, so here's forward. Okay, everything makes sense? Throttle cut's on. Everything's tested. If I was doing pilot fatigue mode, which is generally reserved for EDF jets, because you're not gonna stick your hand in an EDF jet unless you're really trying hard, okay? So at which point, when your throttle cut's off, if you did this and this with that stick down and you did this, it would go full throttle right now. So you'd have to either have the presence of mind to shut off the throttle by doing your throttle cut, getting out of that condition to where it's controllable, or either of those two conditions would stop the full blow reverse thrust, okay? That's the reason we don't talk about that. Now it's just one more mix, and I'll show you what you would do if you're gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it myself. So you do mixing and you would tie a condition to throttle from this position, okay? So when this condition is true, so you do like throttle to throttle, or you do like switch, you know, auxiliary 2 to throttle or whatever it is, but you have to do that with throttle cut on. So I'm not even gonna show that any further. You guys should just play with that and figure it out, but just keep in mind, we have done that on the F-16 80mm. We've done that at Habu SS. We have done that on, just very recently, the T-28. We've done it on the F4U Corsair 1.2, which you guys haven't seen yet. We've done it on, what else? Like pretty much any of the V2 planes.
90?
Huh?
Viper 90?
The Viper 90 has the reverse thrust with
A10.
pilot fatigue. Yep, the A10. Oh no, I'm talking about pilot fatigue. I'm sorry guys.
Pilot fatigue is only on EDFs.
Only on EDFs. So it'd be the 90 millimeter EDFs. Yeah. The 80 millimeter F-16 for sure. Yeah, so if it's available and it's an EDF, we turn it on.
Yep.
Okay, because it is very helpful. And the reason we call it pilot fatigue is because you're doing all this stuff to land, and then all you have to do is just stop me now, and then flip out of it when you're ready. Or just muscle memory back to the throttle cut.
Yep.
Because a lot of times it'll like run me off the ditch and stuff like that.
Right.
All right, so we're in forward thrust. We have throttle cut on, dual rates and expos set up. Our landing gear don't exist because that's safe or not. And we have flaps. So the only thing we have to do is set up safe select.
Yep.
So the way to do that is you're gonna click into the function list, scroll down to forward programming, gyro settings, safe select. We may need to reverse the direction of travel on that A. We always have to do that. Okay, so this needs to be set to a channel, so I'm gonna set it to gear.
Safe mode.
Okay, so I want safe mode on.
AS3X mode. Safe mode. AS3X mode. Safe mode.
See, it's not right. It's backward, but that's okay. No harm, no foul. It's turned on. So now I'm gonna go to servo setup, travel, reverse, and I'm just gonna reverse gear because it's easy. Now watch this.
AS3X mode. Safe mode.
See the elevator?
AS3X mode. Safe mode.
Now look at the aileron.
AS3X mode. Safe mode.
Okay, so how else can you tell you're in safe? Flip the plane upside down, see if it tries to self-right. You can also listen for 2 dances instead of 1. Find the center, upside down. Look, the rudder is tied in with the ailerons too, okay? So that's the easiest, most definitive way, but well, I shouldn't say the easiest. It's not the easiest, it's kind of a pain actually, because you gotta flip it upside down. Some planes are really easy to flip upside down. Other planes are a real pain in the neck to flip upside down. This one's not too bad. Okay, so out of safe, elevator up, elevator down, roll left, roll right, yaw left, yaw right, take off flaps, landing flaps. Gonna taxi just a little bit. So one thing that we do need to look at is centering the nose wheel. Throttle cuts on. How are we gonna center the nose wheel? First things first, we wanna see how terrible it is in taxi, and then we will need to center it. So you can see how far off it is. It's already pretty bad. So I think we're just gonna try to center it right now. Oh, I grabbed this screwdriver, but it happened to be a flat screwdriver because we were undoing the Velcro. So I have a Phillips now. And I'm just gonna find the linkage that goes out to the steering wheel. I'm gonna loosen this. Okay, so loosen that. Then look what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna just center that wheel so it taxis straight-ish, straighter. And I'm not gonna mess with the tail. I'm not even gonna center it. I'm gonna leave it off. Now, why am I gonna leave it off? Look at that. Does that look straight to you? The rudder? And it's not. You wanna know why? Because every time I try to adjust the mechanical adjustment on a rudder for a Horizon plane, I find out that they adjusted it to make it go straight.
You trim it back in.
Yep, exactly. So now I can just, without throttle, I can just give it a quick push. Yeah, that looks like it's gonna be close enough. We may have a couple clips of trim to get it to go straight, but that's good enough for a takeoff and landing. And it looks like our wind is died down enough that we could probably go out and fly this thing right now. So what we're gonna do is we'll reset and we'll go ahead and get our mains filmed. Guys, we appreciate you watching this unbox build and radio setup video. The Cirrus SR22T is a beauty. This is a V2. We have done V1. If you're curious about the V1, we actually have the V1 video still on the website. You go to brianphillipsrc.com and you can search for anything you want there by manufacturer, or you can just use YouTube, search for it. If you want to try to buy a V1, that's gonna be tough because they were discontinued for a long time. So you might be able to find one at like a swap meet here and there, but I would say, why do you want a V1 if you can get a V2? Get the V2, it's gonna have thrust reverse, it's gonna have the AVN ESC, it's gonna be 4S compatible. This thing wasn't a dog on 3S, but it always helps. I can tell you this, they definitely improved the pilot because that pilot was ugly in V1. And that plane is beautiful, so it's kind of like, really? Come on, guys. So beautiful plane, lots of scale features, definitely a licensed replica. It is absolutely gorgeous. The only thing it's missing is, what's it missing?
A tail light?
No, Tomb Raider.
Oh.
It's missing Tomb Raider. So guys, if you want to help support the channel, obviously buy these beautiful planes from the links in the video description below. You help support us with small commissions that come from the manufacturers that sell these things, the distributors that distribute them, or whatever company we work with send it to us to review. In this case, this is a Horizon Hobby thing, so it's coming from Horizon Hobby. If you buy from there, you pay no extra, you get your RC bucks, everything. All the features that you would normally experience as a customer at Horizon Hobby is exactly the same. The only difference is they send small commissions to us for selling these planes once in a while. That being said, if you just can't do it for this reason, that, or the other, then we have PayPal and Patreon, which are two other ways you can support us financially. Patreon is a monthly support thing. PayPal is just like a one-time thing. And then there's also a million other items down below in the video description you can pick from if you wanted to buy something else, just kind of to throw us a bone. But at the end of the day, really, we just love that you're here watching the videos. Come back, watch more. There's so much. We have literally thousands of videos. We want to help you guys get on, get addicted like we are to this wonderful hobby. If you haven't got an NX8 yet, they're very good. We're very happy with them. I am a Spectrum guy, full disclosure. There's other choices, but I like Spectrum. I feel like it's the most intuitive, and I've worked through a few others. Now that being said, I'm not an expert in Futaba. I'm not an expert in open source. I'm not an expert in jumpers, any of that stuff. I just really don't know them, Radio Master. And so I'm sure if I gave myself enough time, I could figure out how to make all those things work. But for now, Spectrum's the way to go. Very solid, very good starting point. If you are brand new to the hobby, do not try to buy the cheapest radio you can. It's one of the hardest things to learn in the hobby. There's a lot that you have to know before you can be good enough to do it, which is part of the reason why it frustrates me when people suggest, oh yeah, get the cheapest radio you can find. And that's not to say that the cheapest radio you can find is not a great thing. It's just that it's hard to use. You have to know what you're doing. I barely know enough to do it. I've been doing this 7 years. So that being said, we've been very happy with the NX8. The Spectrum platform makes things intuitive, makes it easy to use, and you can follow along in our videos. Okay, so also, we appreciate you checking out Brian Phillips RC, something new. Megan's been working crazy hard on that. Megan's the camera crew. She's my wonderful wife and partner in this business, whatever you want to call this thing that we do here on YouTube. And I love working with her on these things, but she is not into the hobby like I am, so she puts up with it. Anyway, so I thank you for being part of our little familial event here where I tricked my wife into helping me film these things. So we love bringing you new content, and there is so much more to come. So definitely be clicking the bell at some point between now and then so that you can get notified when all the new content does drop. And we try to do it at least a couple times a week, if not more. Lately it's been more, so click the bell for notifications and come back for more. Guys, maidens might be separate from this video. If they are, all you have to do is go to the playlist for this airplane. We have playlists for 100% of the aircraft we've ever done. We also have playlists for groups of aircraft we've done. So if you're looking for this and you accidentally stumble onto the old one, just make sure you know it's the V2. It's gonna be obvious. We'll have that all in the nomenclature of the playlist. So when you see it, you'll see thumbnails, you'll see lists. You can also go to Brian Phillips RC if you get confused, and we will help you find what you need to find. So Unbox build radio setup will come out the same day or before the maidens. And then you'll be able to watch both of those back to back as far as we're concerned, but the maiden will be the one that we show to the masses, because most of the people are gonna watch the maiden flight. They're gonna wanna see how the thing flies, and then the minority of people are gonna wanna go back and watch the radio setup, follow through, and learn about all the different tips and tricks, because really once you've done it 4 or 5 times, you're not gonna need help. I'm serious. So come back for more. We appreciate you guys.